The Nordic model in 8 key points. 1. What is the Nordic model? The Nordic model describes how we have organised our society in the Nordic countries. The Nordic countries differ from each other in numerous ways. Still, it's not unusual to talk about a Nordic model for work and welfare. The Nordics have several things in common, separating them from other countries' work and welfare models. In other words, what distinguishes the Nordic countries from other Western countries? And what do we do better? Having this insight helps us to continue developing in the right direction. The Nordic model isn't static, but continually changing in order to meet new societal challenges. It still has some stable central characteristics. We have a regulated working life. Working life in the Nordics is regulated. Rights and responsibilities are largely protected by law and agreements, with established rules and methods for how employers and workers handle wage formation, conflicts, and other challenges in the labour market. The Nordic countries implemented national main agreements between employers and workers from early on. First was Denmark, where the world's first main agreement was negotiated in 1899. The other Scandinavian countries followed suit in 1935 and 1936. Active labour market policies. The active labour market policies are manifested through our goal of employment for everyone that is able to work. Many welfare measures have this as a purpose. A high degree of employment. Full employment has long been an official objective in the Nordic countries, and traditionally we've had a lower employment rate than many other European countries. A strong public sector. The Nordics also have relatively big public sectors, with a lot of areas of responsibility intervening in the citizens' lives from the cradle to the grave. Tax-financed universal welfare benefits. The welfare state is based on workers paying tax, securing welfare benefits to all citizens. Free healthcare and education. Healthcare, education, and income security are among the most important welfare benefits provided by the state. Equality between genders. The Nordic countries are among the leading countries globally when it comes to female labour force participation. Small open economies. The Nordic economies have been small and open economies, proving robust in times of recession and transformation. We'll get into more central characteristics. 2. Does it work? The short answer: yes. The Nordic countries are regularly found at the top of the rankings of the best countries to live in. Compared to most other countries, we have a high quality of life for citizens. The Nordic countries traditionally rank at the top of the Global Happiness Index. A high employment rate and economic independence is important. In addition, being part of a work community is regarded as a key to inclusion and quality of life. Equal opportunities for all. Free education and other universal welfare benefits provide virtually equal opportunities for all. A high degree of trust is an important part of the Nordic model and often referred to as the very glue that holds the model together. That goes for trust in the government, in the political system, and in each other. Relatively small differences in income. This is largely due to wage compression and coordinated wage settlements. 3. What separates the labour markets in the Nordics from other Western countries? First and foremost, a healthy cooperation between the government and the general public. Whilst there is some variation between the Nordic countries, we share a lot of common principles. A comprehensive welfare system. The state provides important social services, which are financed by everyone through relatively high taxes on income and services. A high degree of employment means many taxpayers, and a high degree of trust and access to universal benefits makes the willingness to pay taxes high. The government invests in human resources. Spending on human capital like childcare, education and research increases opportunities for all and provides a skilled and adaptable population. At the same time, there are strong institutions on both sides of the negotiating table. Collaboration between employers, workers and the government secures a balanced wage development, good working conditions and a fixed framework. 4. How does the Nordic model work in practice? The answer is threefold and is called the tripartite collaboration. When we look at what drives Nordic progress, it's easy to point to the tripartite collaboration. The tripartite collaboration is a structured system built upon three integral pillars. If we remove one of the pillars, the structure will collapse. The three pillars are economic governance. Sitting governments ensure controlled spending, free trade, taxes are paid, and employment opportunities are available. Public welfare. More people in the workforce means greater tax revenues to spend on welfare services for the population, which in turn results in efficient employees. Organised working. Strong and responsible organisations on both sides push up wages at a measured and responsible rate. These three pillars work together. Trust and dialogue are key factors. 5. Who are the parties, and how do they work together? The tripartite cooperation helps all parties, the state as well as the organisations, move in the same direction. At a general level, the main organisations negotiate main agreements. At the next level, the individual trade unions and employers' organisations negotiate collective agreements. The government provides laws and regulations that ensure the parties' representation, co-determination rights, and mediation in the event of disputes. This unique three-way cooperation, in which workers have co-determination rights by law, has led to a low level of conflict between the parties in the Nordic countries. Trust is key in the Nordic model, and among other things, it helps make everyone feel heard. At the same time, the co-determination rights contribute to both the will and ability to make legal and social changes, for both businesses and employees. The ability to change is very important for a robust and competitive labour market as times progress. This figure shows the number of strikes in the Nordics from 1960 to 2017. There are noticeable differences between the Nordic countries over time. Norway and Sweden have fewer strikes. Finland and Denmark have had more conflicts. In the 70s and the 80s, the labour market was characterised by tension and conflict. The figure does not, however, show how many people were affected by a strike. A major strike may include many workers and cause more lost working days than many smaller strikes. 6. Is the Nordic model without its challenges? No, it's not quite that simple. An important part of the research on the Nordic model looks at what does not work well and what challenges we will face in the future. These are some of the challenges the Nordic model faces. Vulnerable welfare systems. Our welfare system is entirely dependent on enough people working. This means that we are vulnerable to population changes such as an aging population. Falling trade union organisation. The level of organisation of the workforce has fallen in recent years. This creates challenges for a steady working life. The Nordic model is wholly dependent on robust employer and employee organisations. An expanded labour market. New regulations and agreements in Europe increase access to international labour, which often falls outside the agreements between Nordic employers and employees. We need to work hard to secure a decent working life for all and fight social dumping and illicit work. Inequalities increase. The gap between the wealthy and the needy grows at an increasing rate. Equality and equal opportunities are at the heart of the Nordic model. This figure shows the level of organisation among workers in the Nordic countries from 1990 to 2018. It shows that the level of organisations has remained stably high, but with a slow decline in all Nordic countries except for Iceland. 7. What about the future? Although it's impossible to predict the future, we already know that Norway is affected by global changes. Developments are moving at breakneck speeds. Technology is making the world more connected than ever, changing the demand for expertise. Globalization is increasing trade, travel, and cross-border communication. Population development is changing, both long-term with an increase in the elderly population and short-term with more work immigration. Work immigration contributing to illicit work and social dumping challenges the values of the Nordic model. The goal must be a decent working life for everybody. Climate change and how we meet the challenges associated with it will naturally have major consequences as well. This graph shows the share of the Norwegian population older than 67 years. It is increasing, which means there will be fewer workers behind every occupational pensioner in Norway. 8. How do we move forward? By making sure we continue to do what we are best at. The extensive research project NordMod 2030 has analysed the Nordic model and points to the 6 most important things we must do to meet the challenges in the years to come. We need to create. The world getting smaller calls for a transition to a low-emission economy. That requires us to be creative and embrace change to continue to uphold the values our system depends on. We need to work. High employment rates are a prerequisite for all the 3 pillars in the Nordic model, especially with a changing population. We need to organise. Workers must not be forced into temporary positions and freelance contracts without a safe support framework. We need to share. Increasing inequality threatens several of our core values. Equality and equal opportunities may well be the main values of the Nordic model. We need to take care of each other. Our welfare system is a prerequisite to ensuring that everyone is an equal participant in society, and this must both be protected and renewed constantly. We need to mobilise. Union representatives and members of the trade union movement are working on behalf of us all. A healthy and good society does not come for free. Read more about the Nordic model at forskerforbundet.no.